Did you know? The creature that once terrified our ancestors was not the lion, not the tiger, but the wild boar? With speeds of nearly 40 kilometers per hour, a charge as powerful as a sledgehammer, and tusks sharp enough to rip open a belly in seconds, wild boars were the nightmare of prehistoric humans. Imagine this. You have nothing but a crude wooden stick and a few sharp stones, and in front of you stands a beast twice your size, growling, ready to strike at any moment. One mistake, and you'll be crushed under its hooves and shredded by its deadly tusks. But if you succeed, the kill could feed your entire tribe. This isn't just a hunt. It's a life-or-death battle between Homo habilis and one of nature's fiercest beasts. Will early humans manage to survive? Or will they fall as the next victim of the savage wild boar? Stay tuned. To understand how our ancestors faced this terrifying enemy, we must go back over 2 million years ago. The world was harsh, dangerous, and unforgiving. Survival meant constant battles against predators, the wilderness, and hunger itself. A Homo habilis couple wakes up in the cool shade of their shelter. The air is still cold, bones clinging to rocks and leaves, but the early light filters in enough to illuminate the path. The Homo habilis husband reaches for the crude tools prepared yesterday, a sturdy stick and a few sharp-edged stones. The Homo habilis husband steps out onto the grass, heading towards the edge of the forest to search for food. In the distance, the Homo habilis husband sees a wild boar digging for roots and tubers in the ground. Loose soil flies up, and the damp smell of roots and mud fills the air. The Homo habilis husband lowers himself, taking steady steps, concealing himself behind tall grass, then suddenly charges out. The Homo habilis husband gets close and strikes the wild boar forcefully. The wild boar flails for a moment, but soon loses its strength to resist. The Homo habilis husband breathes heavily, then calms down, slings the prey over his shoulder, carries the boar, and walks along the trail back to the shelter. Footprints press deep and evenly into the ground, and the sounds of birds and wind rustling through the grass punctuate the silent journey. Upon returning to the shelter, the Homo habilis husband places the prey on the flat ground and selects a sharp-edged stone. The Homo habilis husband begins to butcher the boar with the crude stones, slowly and neatly, abiling waste. Each cut is calculated, dividing portions appropriately for easy grilling and carrying when needing to move. Meanwhile, the Homo habilis wife leaves the cave, following the sun-drenched rock face to gather wild berries. The Homo habilis wife selects ripe fruits, places them in a large leaf, and returns quickly to ensure the meal has more nutrients. The handfuls of wild berries are placed next to the divided meat, creating a balanced meal of energy and water. The Homo habilis husband continues to butcher the meat, arranging it into small portions. The Homo habilis wife goes to gather firewood. The Homo habilis wife carefully picks up dry branches, bundles them neatly, and carries them back to the shelter. Upon bringing the firewood back to the cave, the Homo habilis wife uses 2 stones to strike them together, creating a spark. A fire flashes, dry grass catches smoke, and then the flame erupts warmly within the cave. The Homo habilis husband places the boar meat on a rack of fresh branches positioned high above the glowing embers. The delicious aroma of meat spreads throughout the cave, mingling with thin wisps of smoke that penetrate every crevice. The Homo habilis turns the pieces of meat evenly to cook slowly without burning. While waiting, the Homo habilis eats fruit first, waiting for the meat to cook. The cool fruit quenches thirst and dispels the fatigue of the long morning. When the meat is cooked, the Homo habilis couple enjoys it together, sharing peacefully, looking towards the distant horizon through the cave entrance. Outside, the grass ripples in the wind, low hills connecting to low hills. Inside the cave, the firelight reflects on the rock surface in warm, flickering patches. When the hunger is satisfied, the Homo habilis tidies up the corner of the cave. There are many bones in the cave for the Homo habilis to sharpen into tools for hunting and gathering. The Homo habilis husband selects a few straight bones and places them next to thin stones. Each stroke of grinding on the stone echoes steadily, a gentle hum like the breathing of the rock cave. When the tools are sharpened, the Homo habilis man takes them and leaves the cave to search for new food. On the damp grass, footprints are fresh. The Homo habilis maintains a steady pace, eyes on the forest edge for caution. This time, the Homo habilis encounters a pack of hyenas foraging ahead. Without hesitation, with tools in hand, the Homo habilis maintains a safe distance, swings the stick, and throws stones to drive them away, causing a few to recoil and the pack to scatter, moving in another direction. The path ahead is clear again. The Homo habilis continues. The Homo habilis walks towards wide grasslands. Amidst the grass, the Homo habilis encounters a swarm of bees buzzing around a large nest. The Homo habilis hesitates, calculating how to approach to get honey while remaining safe. Ancestors of this period already knew how to use fire to drive away bees. Therefore, the Homo habilis gathers a bundle of dry grass, creates fire, and then approaches, allowing the smoke and firelight to make the bees leave the nest. The bees rush forward fiercely, but with fire in hand, the Homo habilis is no longer afraid. The Homo habilis uses the bundle of fire to suppress and open a path to the nest. Seizing the opportunity, a nest full of honey is broken open by the Homo habilis, who uses hands to take the waxy honey, enjoying it deliciously right at the edge of the grassland. But while enjoying it, a reinforced swarm of bees approaches from afar, launching a surprise attack. The Homo habilis immediately gathers everything and runs as fast as possible to escape. Wind whips past the ears, and the buzzing sound lingers overhead. Seeing a stream of water ahead, the Homo habilis quickly jumps in, leaving the entire swarm of bees buzzing only on the water's surface, circling and waiting. The Homo habilis moves along the shallow bank, keeping low to avoid the bees hovering on the bank. Another new danger suddenly arises. A giant crocodile from the depths of the stream moves directly towards and begins to chase the Homo habilis. The Homo habilis changes direction, springs from the water's edge, and escapes onto the bank. The crocodile also slithers right behind. Dust flies with each thrashing movement as the Homo habilis is pressed hard. The Homo habilis quickly finds high ground, clinging to a nearby tree trunk, climbing high to avoid the beast on the ground. On a low branch, the Homo habilis remains silent, observing below until the crocodile leaves. Once the danger has passed, the Homo habilis continues the journey to search for food and survival. Along the way, the Homo habilis picks up some tools left from the day before and a piece of animal hide draped over a shoulder to shield against the wind. Walking a bit further, the Homo habilis encounters a wild boar with two long, large tusks, diligently digging for long tubers to eat, overturning patches of loose soil. The Homo habilis approaches within control, uses a tool to attack the boar in short bursts, forcing it to flee from the edge of the grass. The chase continues over a low sloping ridge. The Homo habilis maintains a topographical advantage, patiently herding it. After a persistent pursuit, the wild boar collapses before the sharp spear of the Homo habilis. Without delay, the Homo habilis carries the boar back with joy and strong, steady steps on the familiar trail. Upon nearing the shelter, the Homo habilis gathers dry branches and leaves, builds a fire under a wind-sheltered rock overhang. The fire crackles, and the smell of smoke mingles in the air. The Homo habilis places the meat on the grilling rack, turning each piece evenly to cook slowly. A little later, a delicious grilled meat meal gradually appears. The aroma spreads around the cave. Firelight reflects on the stones. Breathing slows after a day of multiple escapes. Driving away hyenas with tools in hand, taking honey with the power of fire, escaping bees by water, avoiding crocodiles by climbing high, and concluding with a persistent wild boar hunt. Night falls. The embers glow red, marking another complete day in the Homo habilis' journey of survival. And so, against all odds, our ancestors survived another deadly encounter in the wild. But this was only one battle. The ancient world was full of predators even more terrifying than the wild boar. What would you do if you were in their place? Could you survive? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you want to see more untold stories of survival, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. The next chapter of humanity's primal struggle is waiting for you.